Stop. Before you do anything else right now, I need you to feel something. Not think about it. Feel it. Place your hand on your chest for just a moment. Right at the center. And notice what is there. Not your heartbeat. Something beneath that. And the reason you found this video today is not random. Something in you already knows what I am about to tell you. It is known for a while. It was simply waiting for the right moment to be spoken out loud. That moment is now. Something the ancient sky watchers recorded on clay tablets and kept hidden from ordinary view for centuries. Because they understood that this particular truth was not meant for everyone. It was meant only for those who had already survived enough to be ready to hear it. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you will change the way you understand every difficult thing that has ever happened to you. There is a word in ancient Akkadian, the language of the Babylonians, that has no direct translation in any modern tongue. The word is Yurkala, and it does not mean darkness the way we mean darkness when we turn off a light. Yurkala is the darkness that exists before creation, the darkness that holds within it everything that has not yet been born. The Babylonians did not fear Irkala. They revered it, because they understood something that took the rest of the world thousands of years to begin to grasp. Nothing of lasting value is created in the light. Everything that endures, everything that carries real weight, everything that changes the direction of a life, is forged in Irkala first, in the dark before the beginning. You were born under Scorpio. And Scorpio is the only sign in the entire zodiac that was placed by the ancient astronomers directly at the threshold of Irkala. Not near it, not beside it, at the threshold, which means you were not born to live an ordinary life. You were born to be a maker of things that endure. But here is what nobody tells you about that. The threshold of Irkala is not a comfortable place to live. It never was. Ask anyone born under your sign what their life has felt like, and the word they will reach for before any other is intense. Not because Scorpios seek intensity, where the very ground beneath your feet is constantly composting itself into richer soil. You have spent your entire life on that threshold, and the question the universe is asking you right now is not whether you can survive there. You have already proven that you can. The question is whether you are finally ready to understand why you were placed there, because the answer to that question will rewrite everything that comes next. Feel the back of your neck, right now. That tightness, the one that arrives when something important is about to shift. Your nervous system is already responding to what I am building toward, because your body understands the language of thresholds better than your mind does. It always has. And it is already sensing that this is one of those moments where something that has been compressed for a very long time is about to be released. Let me show you the full picture. In the ancient world, before the zodiac was a wheel of personality types printed in newspapers, it was a map. A map of the soul's journey through 12 distinct territories of experience. The soul enters at Aries, the first breath, the beginning. Scorpio is the place where the soul is asked to die for the first time, not physically, but in every other way that matters. The death of who you thought you were, the death of the story you had been telling yourself, the death of the version of you that was built to survive the past rather than inhabit the future. In every ancient tradition that studied the stars, the eighth territory was considered the most sacred and the most dangerous. Sacred because it was where the deepest transformation occurred. Dangerous because most souls, given the choice, would turn back rather than walk through it. You were not given that choice. You were born here, which means your entire life has been a series of deaths and rebirths that other signs only encounter once or twice if ever. And every single one of those deaths, every single loss, every relationship that ended before you were ready, every version of yourself that collapsed under pressure you did not invite, every night you spent in the kind of silence that has weight to it, every single one of those experiences was not punishment. It was preparation. The question is, preparation for what? And this is where it gets personal. There is something specific the universe has been building inside you through every one of those experiences. something that cannot be built any other way. It cannot be learned from books. It cannot be acquired through success. It cannot be given by another person no matter how much they love you. It can only be forged through the specific sequence of events that your life has put you through. The ancient astrologers had a name for it. They called it the scorpion's gift. They said the scorpion is the only creature that carries its medicine and its venom in the same place, at the tip of the tail. The same instrument that can end a life can also, in the hands of the ancient healers, be used to draw out poison from a wound. The same sensitivity that made you feel everything too deeply. The same perception that made it impossible for you to accept surfaces and pretending and comfortable half-truths. That same instrument is your gift. And what the universe has been preparing is the moment when you finally stop seeing it as a wound and start using it as what it actually is. A tool of extraordinary precision. But I need to tell you something uncomfortable before we go further. And I need you to hear it without defense. Because this is the part that most people born under your sign spend their entire lives trying to avoid. You have been protecting yourself from the wrong things. The walls you built were not built against the world. They were built against your own power. Because somewhere, probably early, probably before you had the words for it, you learned that the full weight of what you feel, and what you perceive, and what you know without being told, was too much for the people around you, not too much for you. Too much for them, and rather than lose them, you learned to compress it, to carry the full depth of who you are in a space smaller than it was designed to occupy. And you have been living in that compressed space for so long that you have started to mistake it for your actual size. It is not your actual size, not even close. And the pressure you have been feeling, the one that has no name and no medical explanation, is simply the truth of your own magnitude pressing against the walls you built to contain it. The universe has been preparing the moment when those walls finally serve their original purpose, not to keep you small, but to give you something to push against hard enough to discover how strong you actually are. Now let me show you the 3 specific areas where this preparation has been happening. Because it is not abstract, it is not symbolic, it is happening in the exact rooms of your life where you have felt the most pressure. And once you see it clearly, the pressure does not disappear. It transforms into something you can use. The first area is your relationship with trust. Scorpio is the sign most associated with betrayal in traditional astrology, not because Scorpios are betrayed more than others, but because Scorpios feel betrayal at a depth that most people never reach. When a Scorpio trusts someone and that trust is broken, the wound does not land in the mind where it can be rationalized and explained away. It lands in the body, in the gut, in the place where the oldest and most reliable knowing lives. And the response, the withdrawal, the walls, the testing, the long silence before any new door is opened, is not damage. It is the most intelligent response possible to a nervous system that registers deception at a cellular level. The kind that lets you know, before a single word is spoken, whether the person in front of you is safe. That discernment is rare. It is valuable beyond what most people can measure. And it is about to become one of the most important tools you carry. Because the next chapter of your life will require you to know, with absolute certainty, which doors to open and which ones to walk past. And your gut already knows. It has always known. The work now is learning to trust it again after spending years overriding it. The second area is your relationship with power. There is a version of power that Scorpio understands instinctively, and that most other signs spend their lives chasing, without ever quite grasping. It is not the power that announces itself loudly and demands recognition. It is the power that moves quietly beneath the surface of things, that reshapes the landscape without anyone seeing the hands that are doing the reshaping. The power of the current rather than the wave. You have always had access to this kind of power, but you have rarely used it fully, because you learned somewhere that using your full power made other people uncomfortable. So you dialed it back. You made yourself smaller, in rooms where you were actually the most capable person present. You let conversations reach conclusions you could see were wrong, because correcting them would have required showing more of yourself than felt safe. The universe has been watching this pattern and what it has been building. Through every situation where you held back, every room where you made yourself smaller, every time you swallowed the truth to keep the peace, is a specific kind of pressure. The kind that is now, at this particular moment in your life, reaching its natural limit. You are approaching the moment where continuing to compress that power is no longer possible. Not because the world has become safer, but because you have become too large for the container you built. And what comes next, if you allow it, is not an explosion. It is an expansion, quiet, deliberate, and permanent. The third area is your relationship with transformation itself. Every Scorpio alive has died and been reborn more times than they can count. But here is what nobody tells you about that cycle. At some point, the cycle is not asking you to die again. It is asking you to stop, to stay. Commitment to the version of yourself that survived everything, commitment to the life that is possible on the other side of all that composting. Commitment to the gifts that were forged in Urkala and carried to the surface through years of pressure that would have broken a different sign entirely. That moment, for many of you watching this right now, is not coming. It is here. The universe is not preparing another death. It is preparing your arrival. But wait, because I have not yet told you the most important thing. The thing that changes the frame around everything you just heard. And it is the reason this moment, right now, is not like the other moments you have had before where you understood something about yourself and then watched that understanding slowly fade back into the noise of ordinary days. You have been here before. You have had the insight. You have felt the recognition. You have sat with the truth of your own depth and nodded at it and felt something open briefly in your chest. And then the days came back. The demands came back. And the understanding, the real living understanding of what you are and what you carry, got filed away somewhere in the back of the architecture where you keep the things that are important but not urgent. And weeks passed, and the filing cabinet closed, and the pressure returned. I know this because every Scorpio alive has done this, not once, many times. It is not weakness, it is the nature of fixed water. You absorb everything deeply, and you hold it all, which means there is always more to hold. This video. But here is what is different about this moment. And I need you to hear this as precisely as I mean it, not as inspiration, as information. The universe operates in cycles. Every astrologer across every tradition agrees on this. Cycles within cycles within cycles. And there are specific points in those cycles where the pressure that has been building reaches what physicists would call a phase transition. The moment when water, subjected to enough heat, does not simply get warmer. It changes state entirely. From liquid to vapor. From one form of itself to a fundamentally different form. You cannot return water to its liquid state simply by removing the heat. Something irreversible has occurred. A phase transition is not a change in degree. And the sign that the transition is imminent is exactly what brought you here. That restlessness that has no name. That weight beneath the heartbeat. That sense that something is about to change, that is stronger than hope and quieter than certainty. And the only question now is whether you will participate in it consciously, or whether you will let it happen to you the way weather happens to someone who forgot to check the sky. This is your check. Right here. Right now. This video is the sky telling you to look up. And there is something else. Something about the specific nature of how Scorpio experiences these transitions that most readings never address because most readings are written for the surface, and Scorpio does not live there. When a Scorpio goes through a phase transition, it does not look like what other signs' transformations look like. It does not announce itself. It does not arrive with a dramatic external event, though sometimes those happen too. But it is not flatness. It is depth. It is the ocean going still before something enormous moves beneath the surface. The ancient sailors knew this stillness. They called it the dead calm. And they were not afraid of it. If you have been in a dead calm recently, if the intensity has given way to something that feels too still, too quiet, too absent of the feeling that usually tells you that you are alive, this is not the end of something. This is the dead calm. This is the ocean going quiet before your sails fill completely. Do not mistake the stillness for emptiness. It is the opposite of emptiness. It is the fullness that exists just before overflow. Now I want to give you something specific. Something you can carry into the next few days in a way that honors what has been building inside you. Because understanding this is one thing, but Scorpio is a fixed water sign. Fixed means you commit. Here's what I am asking you to do. Find a time when the house is quiet and the phone is face down and nothing is demanding your attention. It does not matter if it is morning or midnight. What matters is stillness. Sit somewhere you feel contained, a chair that holds you, a corner of a room with walls on two sides, and take a piece of paper, not a screen. Paper. Something you can fold. At the top, write one sentence. Write it slowly. Write what has been pressing against the walls. If your hand shakes, let it shake. If what comes out surprises you, especially if it surprises you, that is the thing. That is what has been waiting. When you are done, do not read it immediately. Read it the way you would read a letter from someone who loves you without condition. And notice what has shifted in you between the writing and the reading. That shift, that small but unmistakable difference, is not the universe rewarding you for completing an exercise. It is your Kala releasing what it has been holding for you. The darkness has been doing its work. The gift has been forged. There is one final thing I want to leave you with, and this is the part that will stay with you longer than anything else I have said. The ancient Babylonian sky watchers, the ones who first mapped Scorpio and placed it at the threshold of Urkala, believed that the souls born under this sign were not simply inhabitants of the eighth territory. They were its guardians, someone who had been through enough of their own darkness to be able to sit with another person in theirs without flinching, without trying to fix it, without rushing toward the light before the dark had finished its work. The scorpion does not sting out of aggression. It stings because it is the guardian of a threshold and something approached that was not yet ready to cross. Your sensitivity, your intensity, your ability to feel everything at depths others cannot reach, your refusal to accept surfaces and performances and comfortable half-truths, all of it is not a wound. It is a guardianship. And the universe has been preparing you, through every single thing your life has put you through, for the specific threshold you are about to be asked to guard next. Not with walls, with presence. The kind of presence that only someone who has survived the dark, who has been forged in Urkala and carried the gift to the surface, can offer. You did not find this video by accident. Something in you recognized the frequency before your mind had the words for it. The pressure you have been carrying has a name now. The walls have a purpose now. Right below, not what you hope for, not what you plan, what you felt when I described the version of yourself you have been compressing. Your honesty in that comment becomes the first breath of the version of you that is finally ready to stop being small. And somewhere tonight, another Scorpio is watching this and needs exactly your words to recognize that what they have been carrying is not damage. It is the gift. Subscribe and turn the bell on. Because what comes next builds on everything you just felt. And the threshold does not stay at the same place twice. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.